my gosh, I'm so excited. There's a lot of firsts happening right here, right now. This is the first time that we have done Let's Talk Movies with Moira and Shannon live.
In person.
And in the first time in person, I'm so excited to be sitting here with the fabulous Moira Giametteo. And good morning and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this is, I've said to you many times, this is the delight of my month. This is my beyond guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
So excited to be here with you. This is also our second annual Oscar edition.
I know, that's so exciting.
We started this last year because I had been posting a lot of things. You were posting a lot of things. And then at one point you made the comment, you said, oh my goodness, we're like the Siskel and Ebert of autism moms. And we were talking about doing an Oscar show, and I was like, well, I have to get her to do that. I was so excited when you said yes. Mm-hmm. And then we did it, and I went, I just want to keep doing this every month, and somehow we've managed to do that.
And it's been so much fun, and I feel like we've gotten better and better at figuring out how to have our little banter and figure out our movies and what we're going to talk about. It's been a great experience.
Well, you've been so much help with so many things. So remarkable. And we're excited to be doing this live with you guys. I'm saying hello to Michelle already, who's joining us. We hope that if you're watching right now, you can write in your comments to us as we talk about some of these movies, because we're going to go through the major categories and tell you where our heads are at before the big ceremony that is happening on Sunday. I also want to remind myself and everyone else that we're changing the clocks here in the United States on Sunday.
Yes.
I just think that's a recipe for disaster. And if I were writing comedy for the show, I would make sure that somebody shows up late and says, I'm here, or whatever, because I think something is going to go awry because of that. But to remind everybody, when we're live right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and about a dozen other sites. Traven's going to show you what those sites are. You can be writing in, ask questions, do whatever you'd like. We're going to get started talking about the movies in just a second, but because Moira is here with us, we want to talk with her always a little bit about things happening over at TACA. Mm-hmm. We love us some TACA, and you're very involved over there. Tell them about what's going on.
Well, TACA is a fabulous organization, stands for the Autism Community in Action, and in April, we have what we're calling our conference series, and it's basically the entire month of April. We are going to have content available within our app that's called TACA Connect, and it is terrific. There's going to be recorded content, there's going to be workshops and panels with experts, so you will have your chances to ask questions you need to help your kiddo. And we always have a mentor hour, so there are mentors, parents that are volunteers that have been there, done that are ready to help you figure out, how do I do this next step? So it is, right now it's $35, and we're not doing another price hike. So it is $35 to access the series, and you will have that access for about another 30 days post, for the recorded sessions. Some of the sessions are live, but the thing that's great is it is covered by Regional Center, but Regional Center only covers one thing a year. So if money is tight, we have scholarships available, and have Regional Center pay for something that costs more than $35,
yes.
So, and don't feel shy about asking for a scholarship. They are available to you. You're not taking it away from somebody else. And go to the website. There's a link to click to ask about how do I get a scholarship for the registration. We are so happy to provide that, because we don't want that to stand in the way of you learning what you need to do to help your kiddo. You know?
And if you don't know TACA, you can go to their website, tacanow.org. If you don't know TACA, I really want to encourage you to go to this conference, because it'd be a great entree into knowing some of the things they do, because you'll go, oh my gosh, everything I've been looking for these people have, and they're here answering my question and helping me to know all these things. If you already know TACA, you know this is like the best deal on the block. And you can drop in when you want to, not when you don't want to. Not feel pressured by it. It's not like you have to pack your bag and find somebody to watch your kid to go to this conference.
Right.
It's coming into your home all month, different topics each month, and the topics will blow your mind.
Yeah, every week is a different topic, and we're covering speech and communication, education and IEPs, medically complex kiddos, and challenging behaviors. So we have a theme of every week, and we're bringing in the topics that cover those themes, and then we'll have the workshop after, where we'll help brainstorm and give you sort of action items, because we like to call it Autism Action Month, because you gotta take action, and this is what we want to help you do, is to learn what your next steps will be.
And it's amazing what you guys do. It's absolutely amazing. So I hope you guys will check that out. So you should go to TACANOW.org. And I'm sure that there will be a banner there to click on that says the upcoming
conference, and the pull-down menu also has a selection for conference. So yeah,
there's a lot of things that we will tell people about, resources and things over the years, and on a daily basis we try to do that. But I always love when I can tell people to go to a TACA conference, because I always get it back up. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for telling me this. This changed everything.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
Because you not only feel like the embrace of a community of people who get it, which we all need. You all need that, right? But they don't just tell you things, although they will tell you things that are pivotal, but then they help you to know how to implement it for your life, not for somebody else's who's wearing a cape and knows what agar is. For your life, right? Because we all know those super moms who are like, I baked this with air and agar, right? Like, I don't know you. My life doesn't support that. Yeah. But you guys have the practical tips and the support. It's amazing what you guys do. I'm in gratitude always for the things that you guys do.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been an amazing organization to be a volunteer for, as well as an employee for. It's just fabulous. You feel good. Every day you feel like you're doing something that's helping, and that's gratifying.
You do. And you specifically were somebody who helped me on my journey, which is how I met Moira. So get yourself that. You all deserve that, to have people that are in your corner that you can ask a question. And you have all kinds of things, not just this conference, but the conference is looming large, and you guys should participate in it. $35, and if you don't have the $35, no harm, no shame, apply for a scholarship. I, in fact, was a recipient of a scholarship way back when. Don't deny yourself having some support and getting some questions answered. Anything else?
I think that's good for, I want to push people towards that, because I think that it's right around the corner. We're almost halfway through March. So
there we go. Okay, so now we get to talk about the Oscars and the movies. And it may be that maybe you haven't seen any of the movies, because I know people who are like, I haven't seen anything. I don't really care. And they're like, I wish I knew, but I don't know what's going on. So we're going to go through some of them for you to give you an idea. Maybe you're going to an Oscar party or you're doing one virtually online and you don't know what to put on your ballot. You can, take either one of our suggestions. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. But I love that. That's actually my favorite thing when we don't agree.
Me too.
Because I learned something about what you saw in the movie that I didn't see, and we agree to disagree. So anyway, let's jump right into this.
Okay.
And we're going to start out with the first category that is often, I don't know if it's going to be this time, but often the category that they give the first award toward. I never have understood why, but Best Supporting Actor right here. So I'm going to read the nominees, and then I'm going to let you, because you are so eloquent the way you talk about the different movies. So, but in this category, from Banshees of Inisherin, we have Brendan Gleeson, Brian Tyree Henry from Causeway, Judd Hirsch from The Fabelmans, Barry Keoghan from The Banshees of Inisherin, and Ki Hugh Kwan, hope I'm not saying it wrong, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. What do you think, Moira?
Well, okay. My statement necklace might be a little bit of a giveaway.
Which I love, by the way.
My little statement piece in my hair. I went to Michael's and got some googly eyes because I needed a statement necklace. So that's a little bit of a giveaway. But I am really glad that Brian Tyree Henry was acknowledged, because he's an actor I just discovered recently, and I just think he's wonderful. And I was very happy that he was acknowledged, and he's hopefully got a long career ahead of him because I think he was great. And Judd Hirsch is a longtime favorite of mine. I watched Taxi. I've seen him in so many things. I'm glad he got the nomination, but I wasn't really blown away by The Fabelmans specifically. And I felt like, in a way, Hirsch was kind of over the top, but I feel like we kind of needed that because he was this larger-than-life character, and he injected a little bit of energy into it. But I felt like I think maybe Spielberg was too close to the topic, so I'm like, but we can talk more about that in the Best Picture category. Both Brendan Gleeson and Barry Keoghan for Banshees of Inisherin, great performances. Not crazy about the movie. Found it frustrating, but I don't know, maybe I was supposed to be frustrated by it, who knows. But I think that, Brendan Gleeson is always good, but I really went away with an impression of Barry Keoghan, and I just thought, oh my, who is this young man? And he was just terrific. And if I'm not wrong, I think he might be from Brodie Ferry, Scotland, but I could be wrong. So somebody correct me. You can look it up and let us know in the comments. But he broke my heart. But my pick is Ki Hugh Kwang, who I also hope I'm not butchering his name. Hollywood loves a comeback story, and I love him. And I feel like it's been just delightful to watch him be so appreciative of getting this second chance. It also underscores, why does somebody so talented as he not find any parts until now? It's a little frustrating, but thankfully he has been acknowledged now, and he's physically different. His physicality in the different parts in Everything Everywhere All at Once, it's like a multiverse, kind of different versions of life, and so everybody in that has to kind of play different roles, and he did a wonderful job at that. He looked so elegant in a tuxedo, and then he looked I got to get my work done when he was, in the sort of the working man kind of version of his life. So he's my guy. How about you?
I'm in total agreement with you. I think he's the clear winner. We look at the Oscars all the time and we go, okay, sometimes you have to look at who had the script written in a way that they had the range. And as you said, he, hands down, he had the best opportunity. He had so many different things that he could play. So the range of what he showed us was amazing. We also take into consideration for the Oscars, sometimes it's a little bit political, right? Sometimes that's a part of who wins. And also there's the emotional part about it, who do we want to win? And I think there's a lot of people on that list that a case could be made for a lot of different parts of that, but it seems to me that he is the clear winner in all of those categories. The performance is flawless. He's such a range. It is an emotional choice. It's also a political choice and a statement about, making sure that often the Oscars has been accused of being the Oscars so white. And so I really expect that he will win. But like you, I think that Barry Keoghan's I didn't have a problem with anybody who was nominated.
Right.
Honestly.
In this
category, I'm like, that's all good. I saw Causeway. I think Brian's performance was amazing. And I, too, am a new fan of his. But I think that, and I love Brendan Gleeson, although his son is one of my favorite actors ever.
Oh,
Donald
Hall.
Gleeson.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a great actor with range.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
And you can see that where it comes from. He's inherited from his dad. But I do think that if I had to make a second choice, it would be Barry Keoghan. I think his performance was so nuanced in a film that was so deeply, to me, had problems with the script and the direction. But I thought that the performances were all pretty on par. And he would be my second choice, but I think it's a distant choice. I don't think that there's any chance that we're not going to see the winner that we both agree on winning that. Okay,
I think you're right.
So we're in agreement. What do you guys think? If you disagree, please write in and tell us. We're going to move on to the Best Supporting Actress. I will need you to full screen it for me, Traven, because I'm blind as a bat today. So in this category, we're talking about Angela Bassett, nominated for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Hong Chow, pardon my pronunciation of names, from The Whale, Carrie Condon for The Banshees of Inisherin, Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Stephanie Sue for Everything Everywhere All at Once. What are your thoughts, Moira?
Well, again, the statement necklace says a lot. But there are two people from that film in this category.
Right.
Well, Angela Bassett is amazing, and I do feel that she elevated the film. I like that a Marvel film has an acting nomination because I do feel like that's a groundbreaking thing for Marvel.
Yep.
And I'm pleased with that. She had really pivotal scenes, but not a lot, but she nailed them, So, and it's not nominated for Best Picture, so that always, that's always a, but it happens. Sometimes the performance goes above what the film is. But yeah, I don't think that it's her year for this. I'm not mad that she was nominated, but I don't think she should win. Of the other folks, Hong Chow, she was amazing in The Whale. Amazing. And she was like so brittle and bruised and vulnerable. And I loved the way her character was revealed piece by piece through the film. And I'm really happy to see her in more stuff. She was amazing. I mean, she really was. So again, wouldn't be upset if she got it. Carrie Condon and Banshees of Inisherin was another bright spot in that film, and I'm glad she got the recognition. I call her the voice of reason, but also compassionate when being brutally honest, and I like that about her. And then with Stephanie Sue, I am thrilled with her success, and I had not realized she was also in the last season of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. She plays the girlfriend of Mrs. Maisel's ex-husband, and she has excellent comic timing. And now I've seen her in this, again, multifaceted, dramatic, comedic role, and she was amazing. So, but that all said, it's Jamie Lee's year, in my opinion. And I just loved seeing her grab the reins and run with this really wacky role. And Everything Everywhere All at Once gave all the actors this opportunity to create these amazing, multifaceted characters. And then it was, it can't be overstated how fabulous Jamie Lee Curtis has been in social media. Unbelievably supportive of her film and all of her actors. And I love there was a meme created of her right after her reaction when Michelle Yeoh won. Michelle Yeoh's going like this, Jamie Lee Curtis is like, yeah. And I love that. And it's like, this is what women supporting women look like. And I'm like, yes. And I just, everything about her is just delightful. So I want her to walk away with that statue.
I'm with you on this, but I think where you're a little bit more like, but if other people won it, I'd be okay. No, I'm going to throw shoes, knives, everything if Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't get this award. I just like in the last category, I don't have a bit of a problem with anybody who's been nominated. I thought they all did amazing performances. I have said, and I'll say it again, that Viola Davis should have been submitted in this category. People lost their minds that she didn't get a nom for Best Actress for Woman King, and having screened the film, there are some roles that are the central role, and then you are the supporting, and I believe that it's really on the line, but for me, that was more of a supporting role. I know it's confusing because it's the title of the film, but it was more of a supporting role, and if they had put her in this category, I think she would have been nominated. And then we would have had an interesting conversation because she does one heck of a performance in that. But she wasn't submitted in this category. I'm thrilled with everybody else that's in there. I don't know who I would have taken out, but I'm sorry that Viola Davis didn't get a nomination. But there we are. Having said that, there is much talk that maybe Angela Bassett will win this because it's more of a political choice. And I will tell you, I love Angela Bassett. I thought she did a great performance. I don't think that the script gave her enough to warrant giving her the Oscar.
I feel like she had two scenes that were pivotal and important, and then that was kind of it.
And I don't second guess the nomination.
Right.
But I would second guess an award.
Yeah.
I don't think it's warranted here. Whereas you put it up against Jamie Lee Curtis and the actual gymnastics that she did. Oh my goodness. And I think it's her time. But she certainly did the performance. But I celebrate everybody else in the category. But I do think it's Jamie Lee Curtis's year, and I will be thoroughly ticked should she not take the award. You will hear me yell. So there we have it. Okay, moving on. Our next category, we're going right to it.
Yes.
Best actor.
Best actor. Best actor, right?
Yes,
no?
best actor.
Oh, best actor. Yes.
So in this category, we have Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Austin Butler for Elvis, Bill Nighy, is it Nighy?
Yeah, I believe so.
Bill Nighy for Living, Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin, and Paul Mescal from After Sun. And I just want to say, just like Sesame Street, there was a little song they sang in Sesame Street, one of these things doesn't belong. And we'll talk about which one I believe does not belong in this category.
Yeah.
I take issue.
Well, I'm going to start with my favorite, and that would be Brendan Fraser. I think he's going to win. I saw this film the other day, and I was sobbing. It was so powerful. He plays Charlie, and he delivers just a startling performance. It's like he's a 600-pound man who's housebound, and you really get to know him. He's trying to get reconnected with his daughter because his health is very bad. And it's like all of his grief he's absorbed all of his grief, and he's absorbing everybody else's grief and anger. And, he's just, it's just a startling performance. And I mentioned, Hong Chow. But I also need to give a shout out to Sadie Sink, who plays his daughter. And I wouldn't have been upset if she had been nominated, because she was amazing. She plays this teenager that's so filled with rage, but she managed to walk that fine line of becoming like a whiny nuisance, and actually you sympathize, even though she does some horrible things, and you're like, I don't understand you, but wow, she was incredible. So let me think. There's some criticisms about the depiction of the character being a 600-pound man, but I'm not a big fan of Darren Aronofsky's in general, but I think what he did was force us to confront the reality of Charlie's situation, and then also see the humanity, and I keep thinking about the Elephant Man when I think about this film, in a way, of like just that. Anyway, I could go on and on. Austin Butler did a terrific job, and biopics are always catnip to the Academy, but I don't see him winning, although I've heard scuttlebutt that he might be a front runner, and I'm like, I think it was a flawed movie that was visually fantastic. So, yeah. So I don't know. I'm on the fence whether or not to be upset that he was nominated, because I think he put a lot of work into it. There's a lot of craft there, but Bill Nighy, on the other hand, love him. This was a lovely, quiet performance, and it was wonderful to see a seasoned actor take the reins and run with it. And this was adapted from a book by Kazuo, I'm butchering it, Kazuo Ishiguro.
Good job.
I'm sure, and please correct me, because I'm sure I'm wrong. And I looked at that, and the writer was born in Japan and moved to England, and it was interesting to see the two cultures kind of, and I think originally it had been done as set in Japan, I'm not sure, but I thought I like it when we can find commonalities between our cultures, and I like that a lot. So yeah, I think you should definitely see that. I'm glad he was nominated, because maybe more people will see it. Colin Farrell and Banshees of Inisherin, always worth watching. I just didn't happen to like the film, but I think he did the journey of this wide-eyed innocent man to this very bitter, angry person, and it was sad to watch, but it was he did well. And then Paul Mescal, After Sun, I just saw that the other day, and I was kind of like, what?
Are you sorry?
What? I'm not yet. It was like, I felt like I was watching people's home movies, which I think is what they wanted us to feel. I also felt like sometimes I'm like, is he in the scene? I can't see him. So him being nominated in this category, I'm like, I don't know. We could probably argue that he was the supporting actor. And I just wasn't crazy about the film, and it was very subtle. I had actually read the review. I didn't think I was going to have time to watch it before the show, so I had read the review of it before, and I felt like I had the Cliff's Notes, the cheat sheet, and so I think I saw more. My husband was like, what's going on? I don't know what happened. And I'm like, I had an advantage, so not a fan, but...
Yeah. Well, Paul Mescal is the one that I feel doesn't belong in this category. And I agree with you. I don't think he belongs in the actor category. Like, if you wanted to put him in the best supporting actor category, then we could have a discussion about it. But I don't think he doesn't have enough screen time to be a best actor nomination. And it's not a movie I liked. But what's interesting to me is I just had this epiphany. If you look at the 5 films, there's only one film that I liked. And that one I loved.
Oh.
I loved Living. I loved that. Now, I appreciate performances, and sometimes a performance can be brilliant, but I don't like the film. Right? And that is certainly the case for The Whale. I did not like the film. I think what I learned is that Darren Aronofsky is an actor's director. And that's a great thing. Like, that's a great skill to have. And he brought out some beautiful performances out of people, but he had no idea what to do with his film. And it's done very much like a play, and not well, in terms of it's all in basically one room. There were so many opportunities to adapt it and give it legs and let us see how this person goes from being somebody who struggles with weight issues to getting to the point that he's at.
Right.
That, to me, would have been compelling. We don't see that in the movie. However, Brendan Fraser's performance is, and do we say it Fraser or Fraser?
It's Fraser. I heard him say Fraser like razor.
Okay.
So there we go. That's how I remember.
Well, first of all, what an incredible human being who's been through so much. So for that, the comeback story, the emotional story, am I going to love him extra because he's a member of our tribe? He's a dad in our tribe? Yes. But it's also the performance of a lifetime.
Yes.
Undeniably the performance of a lifetime. And I had big issues with the film and with the script and some of the choices, but you cannot deny his performance.
Yeah.
I believe that he deserves this without exception. The rest of I loved the movie Living. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, I loved it on a level that surprised me.
Yeah.
And there were some moments in Living that was absolutely, and Bill Nighy's performance, I love him anyway.
Yes.
I love him anyway, but and I thought, what a wonderful thing for him at this point in his career to be taken very seriously as a serious actor, not just as comic relief.
Right.
Oh, I absolutely love that, but it doesn't overshadow what Brendan Fraser did in The Whale. Now, I have also heard that there's a possibility that Austin Butler could possibly walk away with this, and I don't know what I will do, set my house on fire. And listen, I think he's a lovely actor and he did a great job. I don't want to take anything away from him.
Right.
But I think it's a deeply flawed movie, and I love Baz Luhrmann. I think it's a deeply flawed movie. And I feel like, honestly, if I'm giving my honest opinion, I don't think that Baz, I'm going to call him Baz, like we're friends, I don't think he trusted him enough. If you go back and watch the movie and see how long it takes before we actually get to see Austin's face, he makes us wait a really long time because I don't think he trusted his performance. So that's my opinion on that. And Colin Farrell, who I love, also a member of our tribe, a parent in our tribe. I didn't think about that before. I wished he had been nominated for 13 Lives. I don't know why 13 Lives isn't on this list. That also makes me mad and want to throw things. I'm throwing a lot of things today. It's Brendan Fraser. It's Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
It has to be, and if it isn't, somebody's going to get cut. I'm just saying, like, what? Like, come on. No. Come on. He ticks all the boxes it has to be. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to the next category, which is Best Actress.
That's right.
Here we go. So a lot of controversy in this category. We're going to dig into it. Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie, Cate Blanchett for Tar, Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans, Ana de Armas for Blonde, and Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
What do you think, Moira?
Well, I did see all of these films. Oh, no, I lie. Didn't see all of these films. I saw 15 minutes of one of them.
And were you sorry?
And I was sorry. Andrea Riseborough, we watched this, the To Leslie film, we actually watched as a double feature with The Whale, which is like,
you needed therapy and a hug and to have all the
like
sharp implements hid.
Shattered. We were shattered. It's brutal, but it doesn't have the same deep sadness that The Whale had, so it was good. It was the second film we watched. Yeah. And I was completely unfamiliar with Riseborough. I looked at her IMDb, and I'm actually kind of shocked. I knew the films, I recognized titles, but I'm like, how did I not see any of these films? And it's unusual for me to have an actor that I've just never seen them, and they've had a career like she has.
Can I tell you briefly, I had the exact opposite reaction. I was like, I've never seen this woman before, don't know any. And then my husband went, no, look at all the films that she's been in that you love. And I was like, that was her?
Yeah.
I
didn't recognize her.
I didn't recognize her in any of the things. So
that's a good thing, isn't that?
Yes.
Yeah. And she was amazing. I feel like the film shortchanged some of the character's journey because I feel like, at one point we skipped to 10 months later, and I kind of wanted to see a little more. But man, was she! And it was, could be a little. You could call it kind of predictable. And also, I loved Mark Maron, and I love that Mark Maron is doing more acting because he's just something about him is very just lovable. But yeah, it was a great performance by her. Now, Cate Blanchett, love her, love. Could not get past the first 15 minutes of Tar. Either I wasn't in the right frame of mind, but I also felt like it felt pretentious to me.
Yes.
And I just felt like, are you talking down to me? Am I just, And I did not care for it. Michelle Williams in The Fabelmans, she was wonderful, but I wasn't blown away by The Fabelmans. She's always good. But honestly, Manchester by the Sea, she's amazing. And it's strange to say that The Fabelmans was kind of forgettable, because normally a Spielberg film is memorable, and it wasn't. So that's a shame. Ana de Armas, bless her heart. I just want to give her an Oscar for getting through the filming of that movie, because it was a difficult movie to watch. I felt like they gave her one version of Marilyn to play, which she played incredibly well. But it was so horrible, the film in general, that I just went away from it going, these people don't like Marilyn Monroe. In fact, they hate her, and I feel like she did well with what she was given, but, bless her heart is what I'm saying. So Michelle Yeoh, she's my lady. I love her, and I think it was all the planets aligning, and this was the right point in her career. It brought together all of her skill set, and it's just marvelous. So I'm very pleased, and I'm hoping that she gets that Oscar, because I think it would be a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah. I'm agreeing. We're agreeing across the board here. I think it's Michelle Yeoh's not to lose. I think it's hers to win, hands down. And again, all the boxes. A fantastic performance that spans really what you would normally do in 12 films. It's the emotional choice. It's the political choice. And for all those reasons, she has to win this. There's been so much controversy in this category that kind of ticks me off. A lot of people have taken issue with Andrea Riseborough being nominated in this category. And the long and the short,
I don't know all the detail of that. So
the long and the short of it is that people are taking exception, saying, that this is really what I have read is that this is white privilege that she is nominated here. Because in order to be nominated for a film, I didn't know this before this conversation. So I always love that, we elevate the conversation by when we have controversy, right? That in order to get submitted, it's like a $20,000 entrance fee to put to put the person up as a possible
Just
nomination.
as a possible candidate.
As a possible candidate to be
Wow.
nominated. Now, normally, the production company will put people up and say, we're allotting this much in the budget to put them forward. And we've seen across the board this year, there's all this controversy because people were or weren't put up for different things. And there is a cost to it. And Andrea Riseborough, along with the director, there was no money from the production company. They weren't going to put anybody up. So together, they paid for her to be nominated.
I see.
And she paid for it out of her own pocket and the director's pocket. And then, you know, they didn't have any money to put up billboards and do things, which is what would have happened. You know, the production company for Tar put billboards everywhere for Cate Blanchett and sent out DVDs to people and said, please watch this film.
Right.
That is what normally happens. Andrea Riseborough did not have that. The director of the film did not have that opportunity. So what they did was they went to a couple of their friends and said, you know, would you be willing to host a screening? And they were very high-level, influential Hollywood people. And everybody's like, oh, well, what about the people who don't have the opportunity to do that? I get that, but the issue is not with Andrea Riseborough.
Right.
The issue is, why does it take money
yes.
for anyone to be
Right.
nominated? Why does Cate Blanchett have the opportunity to be nominated for a horrible film? I'll talk about that in a second. So, but I think the issue that people were having is, you know, why isn't Viola Davis in this category? Why isn't the lovely actress from Till in this category? Now, I will have those conversations, but I think that Viola Davis isn't because she didn't have a big enough role in the film. We can argue that. You can disagree with me, but the actress for Till, I don't know why she's not here. But I don't think it's Andrea Riseborough, and I will tell you, I saw the film, To Leslie, and her performance warrants her being here. She earned her way into this category, and she did it with her own ingenuity. Let's talk about Cate Blanchett. I don't think she belongs in this category, but I don't think this film belongs in Best Picture. I think it's interesting to me that Tar is the most misogynist movie I have ever seen, except for one other, Blonde, which is also in this category. And I have a real problem with both of these films.
Yeah.
And I will say that I know, you know, as an actress, sometimes you read a script and you don't really know how it's going to be and whatever. But I have said that I think that Ana de Armas is going to need therapy in the coming years over what happened in Blonde. And I think it's shameful, absolutely shameful. It makes my blood boil. And I think the way that the film dealt with women and with Marilyn Monroe was disgusting. Disgusting. And the way the script was done, I know people, in my life I have known people who knew Marilyn Monroe well, were roommates with Marilyn Monroe.
Wow.
And even there's one little part in the film that somebody says something and then it never is flushed out in the film, but the person says, Marilyn Monroe is the smartest person in the room. And that was true. And we didn't get to see that side of Marilyn. So I have issues with that. But in Tar, look, it's undeniable that Cate Blanchett is a brilliant actress. I don't think she's particularly good in this film. But the script is very pretentious. I don't know how anybody could watch it and not feel talked down to. And I think the film is anti-women. And I also think it makes the case that people who are predators, we should not negate their work. That's the thesis of this film, which is trash. Just trash. So that's how I feel about that. And the fact that she won the BAFTA makes me want to spit knives. I didn't like The Fabelmans. I made no bones about that. And I love Michelle Williams. I didn't like her in this film. I said, what is this, her answer to being mad that she didn't get cast as Judy Garland? I mean, she was the wide-eyed Judy Garland kind of, And people have said to me, no, but that's how Spielberg's mother was. And I was like, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. You know, are we just doing impersonations of people in our real lives? Because then why wasn't it called The Spielbergs? I didn't think the performance warranted this nomination. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. So, having said all of that, Michelle Yeoh has to win this. The only other person I would consider getting this award would be Andrea Riseborough, and the rest of it I would shove into the ocean. not disrespecting their attempts at performances, but I don't think that they warrant even the nomination, but certainly not the statuette. So this is how I feel
That's
about
how
it.
you
But
feel
ask
about
me
that.
how I feel, whatever.
You're blocking.
Gemma, we're saying hi to Maria and Michelle, and Gemma, we're saying hi to you. You're in the UK and identify as being autistic, and you do your own autism content. I'm thrilled that you are here. Thank you so much. Write in and tell us if you disagree if you've seen any of these films and you disagree. We're going to move on to our next category, which is Best Director.
Best Director.
I can't imagine that I'm going to have any emotions in this category. Let's take a look here. It's Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin, Todd Field for Tar, Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness, Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans, and the Daniels, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah. It's not only the Oscars so white, it's the Oscars so male.
Yeah.
And there we go.
There we
okay,
go.
So let's, what do you have to say about this?
Well, you know, we spoke of the Triangle of Sadness in a previous episode, and it not one of my favorites, did not land with me. And then Tar, Banshees, and The Fabelman, I felt were just meh, or I didn't like Tar at all. But, you know, so in my opinion, the only choice for me is the Daniels, is Everything Everywhere All at Once, Daniel Kwan, Daniel Scheinert. That's what, you know, the planets aligning, and what a director's job is to get their vision to the screen, and also give the opportunity for all these really talented people to explore their talent and reach for the stars. They succeeded in every aspect of this. And I believe they're the writers as well of
Yes.
this. So
In fact,
give them all the prizes.
Yes, we're going to see in a second. The thing that was so shocking as I was preparing the slides for this is that the Best Director category is the exact match of the Best Original Screenplay. That all of these gentlemen not only directed these films, but they wrote them. In some cases, they co-wrote, but yes, it matches exactly. So very interesting. It almost makes the case that anymore, if you're going to be in the Best Director category, that it has to be so completely your vision that you were involved in the screenplay as well, which is interesting to me. So yeah, for me, now, we totally disagreed on the Triangle of Sadness.
We did, yeah.
So if you guys think that Moira and I agree on everything, let me just point out that, no, I loved Triangle of Sadness so hard, and she hated it. I think hated it is
about
accurate.
as much. Yeah.
But I loved it. So I even said that if I were unmarried and younger, I would want to have Ruben Östlund's children because I loved it that much. So that's a lot for me. Yeah, I can't wait. This was his first film in English language.
Okay.
So I can't wait. I'm going to go back and watch all of his other films, and I can't wait to see what else he does because he's vibing on a vibe that I'm really into.
Really connecting to.
I'm really, because it's different and it's weird and I love it. So, you know, let's talk about everything else that I want to shove into the ocean. Really, you know, I've made no bones about the fact that I really did not like Banshees of Inisherin, although I'm going to say the more time that goes, the more I'm starting to understand a little bit about it, but I still don't like it. So there's that. I'm never going to like Tar. There's not ever going to be a day that I'm going to like Tar. There's never going to be a day that I recommend it to anybody. I've heard people talking about how Todd Field is a genius, and I am threatening to unfriend them. Because I'm like, if you think it is a genius to make a movie about how predators should, you know, can have a platform to justify how their work should still be lauded, I really don't have time for you. You know what I'm saying? Like we can have lots of differences, opinions, but if that's what you want to put your creative life into, I can't do it. I am not a Steven Spielberg sycophant. I'm not. I appreciate and I've loved many of his films, but I have also accused him of taking his thumb and sticking it in front of the camera, that he's too present for me as a director. That when I watch a film, I want to get lost in it and not be seeing your point of view. I want to discuss that later on and go, look at this, look at that. Yeah. But I feel like he puts himself too much in the films. And I felt that in The Fabelmans, he was too close to it. I think you said that you felt the same way, but you love him.
Yeah,
I have great love for him, but don't always I feel like he needs to have somebody assigned to follow him around and go, no, Stephen, you're putting yourself too much in it.
Pull back.
Right.
Yeah.
That's, but I think his vision is worthwhile. But, and so for me, it is the Daniels.
Yeah.
They deserve this for Best Director. This is cutting edge, take things in a new direction. It's like, your heart jumps out of your chest and goes, what am I watching? It's like there's, I said I think it might be even too much, but it certainly is, worthy. So absolutely, the Daniels need to get this. We're saying hello to Susan. Andy says, you guys should be a part of the Academy making the calls on these. Thank you,
Thanks,
Andy.
Andy.
We would love to be on the nomination committee.
Yep.
Can't agree more with Shannon, and it's Moira. I want to...
No, on Marilyn.
Oh, on Marilyn. Thank you. I thought he was saying more Shannon and Moira. Yeah. No, Shannon on Marilyn. I want to see the genius side of her on screen so much and was denied yet again.
Yep.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
take that film and shove it into the ocean. I'm not about censorship, I'm not, but it's just really not worth watching. Okay, so let's move on now to the identical list
category.
for Best Original Screenplay. We have Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin, Todd Field for Tar, Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness, and here we have a slight change that we're adding Tony Kushner to Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans, but once again we have the Daniels, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yep.
Would you like to change your answer?
That was my final answer. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, because I just really adored what they put together. I mean, it was incredible and original.
Yeah.
I mean, best original screenplay, and wow. And I guess you could argue that the same could be said for Triangle of Sadness and Banshees. I just didn't care for them, but they were original,
Yeah.
So, yeah. And actually, the thing you mentioned about Tar, that's a conversation I always have. How do you separate the art from the artist? And that is a really super challenging thing. And of course, in these days, people are calling it cancel culture. I'm calling it consequences.
Thank you.
But it begs the question, like what happens to this wonderful art and how, because there's things like I can't watch that anymore or whatever, and I don't like that, but I also, I don't know, what are you? Yeah.
Well, and I will say maybe the best part of Tar that doesn't need to be shoved into the ocean is that we get to be inside the mind of the person who is justifying their behavior and why, and get to see the sheer hubris of I am brilliant, therefore. But here's where the film fell apart for me, is that I did not see that in Blanchette's performance. That the whole film, I kept saying to myself, well, okay, but in order to be a predator, you got to have certain things, you got to have a certain cachet. And yes, she has the power because she is the conductor. But I wasn't seeing why people were following her. She's pompous. She's condescending. She dresses unattractively. Like I was like, what is the attraction here? It must be that when she conducts, that you just want
You're transported.
Right, that you want to be a part of what she's doing. Because, I mean, I can watch Dudamel and I go, I would like to be his best friend.
Yeah.
Because he emotes. And she gets up to conduct, and I think it's some of the worst acting I've seen. She does not look like she knows what she's doing. If you've ever been to see, I think it's bad. I'm just going to say, I think it's bad.
Yep.
Gemma,
lovely.
We love that you found us on recommended live streams and that you've subscribed, and you love that you said, I love that you're explaining all the movie information. It makes it easier to process. Thank you so much. That's so meaningful to us.
I'm so glad. That's wonderful.
Okay, let's move on to Best Screenplay Adapted. It gets a little bit interesting here because this is a wide range of films.
It is.
That you go, wow, what do these things have in common? So I'm going to slaughter names here. I'm not even going to say them. I'm not going to slaughter them. So Best Screenplay Adapted, the films are Living, Top Gun Maverick, Women Talking, Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, and All Quiet on the Western Front. These films couldn't be more different, and yet they're up for the same award.
Very interesting category. For me, I'm going to go with, I think I can say his last name, Ishiguro, for Living, because I just thought that was just a lovely film. And I honestly would be upset. I will take off my earrings and throw knives if All Quiet on the Western Front wins, because I feel like I read this book in high school and I found it very moving, and I remember it. And I actually gave up on the film about halfway through because I was just like, it's too much about the gore and not enough about the emotion of the fact that this gung-ho kid is like sucked into horrible war, World War I, which was supposedly the war to end all wars, but did not.
Didn't take.
Didn't take. But it just sort of lost that. It lost the emotion for me. So Top Gun Maverick and Glass Onion, I don't know. I mean, I liked both of them, but I'm not sure. I guess I'd have to. Part of me feels like I'd have to be familiar with the source material in a way, and maybe that's not fair because I'm not familiar with the source material for Living. But what are your thoughts on that for adaptation?
I'm in a little bit of a quandary in this category because I'm thrilled that Top Gun Maverick is in here because it's a surprise, but the script is really good.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that it got the nomination, but it would be weird for me if it won. I also, we watched All Quiet on the Western Front with my son, who had read the book and seen the original movie. And I saw the original movie, but I don't remember it. It was so long ago, right? But I was like, whenever you're going to remake something, I'm like, why? Why are you? What's your agenda?
Bring something else to the table.
What are you bringing? Why do we need to? Because if we have it and it was done well the first time, what is it about it that you need to do? And there were some changes, but I think everybody's in agreement that the changes weren't good. So, and it's a beautiful film and whatever, but I'm like, do we need to see all that war? And because it's a war is hell movie. Oh, because we don't know? Apparently we don't. Okay. But I don't think that especially because the changes in it, I don't care for, and a lot of people didn't care for. I don't think it's, I'm like, no. I didn't think that the Glass Onion and Knives, I'm like, really? That for a script? Like, were we that thin on scripts this year that we couldn't? Okay. So that leaves me with Living and Women Talking. I loved Living. I loved Living.
And I skipped right over Women Talking, didn't I?
Well, you did, and I was a little surprised.
Yeah. I really did like that. Yeah.
And I, my feeling about Women Talking is that it's not a movie that you love, it's a movie that you appreciate.
Yeah.
Where it's coming from. And you appreciate the performances and you appreciate what the movie is saying. It's a little bit of a hard watch for a lot of different reasons.
Yep.
That it's a painful subject.
Yep.
And it almost plays like a play.
Yes.
But although it was adapted from a book, and the way it was adapted from the book is very interesting because it wasn't until afterwards that I went back and said, okay, what is the real story? And I was like, oh, okay. So I don't know. I'm of two minds. I loved Living, but I have to say that I don't think the script is what I loved about it. I loved the direction.
Okay.
Loved the direction. Oh my gosh, why is he not nominated in the director category? But okay, so I'll be okay if Living wins. I'll be okay if Women Talking wins. I will not be okay if All Quiet on the Western Front, but I'm not going to take off my earrings and throw them. If Top Gun were to win, I guess I wouldn't be fatutzed about it. What else did I forget? I think I would be fatutzed if Glass Onion won.
Yeah.
I just don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that good.
I can't believe I skipped Women Talking because I really did like that film. And I think of that category, Living and Women Talking would be fine with me.
I think it's got to be between them.
Yeah. And one of the things I did like about Women Talking, and I think maybe because it was in the hands of a female director, was the fact that you did not see the violence, and but it was about the violence that happens to women. And
Yes.
that I felt grateful for, because sometimes it's like, oh,
Yeah,
you know.
like I don't, like you need to trigger me.
Yeah, exactly.
To
To
I
get
don't
me
need
there,
to.
it's like
Yeah.
you don't, you know. So there we go. All right.
Yeah, so there it is. Well, it's the one that I care the least about. I don't know what that says, that I care the least about it. Okay, let's move on to our next category, which is Best International Feature Film. And we talked about leaving this off because, in all honesty, I haven't seen enough of the films. I don't know how many of them you've seen. But we decided to include it because we're both fatoutsed.
We're both mad because RRR is not in here.
Yeah.
It's like,
but again, we go back to the way films are, the way you can be nominated. The country of India was responsible for submitting it in this category, and they chose not to.
and do they have to pay $20,000?
Yes.
See, now this pisses me off because I did not know this before all of this controversy.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like it because then it's part of a marketing thing,
That is
which I
exactly
know
what it
everybody
is.
has said, and we know this because
Yeah.
we can tell when a studio has a lot of money behind something, but this is so exclusionary, you know?
Well, it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And apparently, countries are only allowed to submit one film.
Mm-hmm.
And so India submitted something else. I don't know what they submitted, but it didn't get nominated. And and I've heard people say that they didn't because they thought that RRR would be up for Best Picture, and the fact that it's not is criminal.
Right.
I disagree with that. Want to throw my shoes for that. But anyway, here we are. Here is what actually is All Quiet on the Western Front, Argentina 1985, The Quiet Girl, Close, and EO.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about anything?
Yeah, I only watched half of All Quiet on the Western Front, so I really can't speak to this category except for my annoyance of RRR not being included.
But you don't feel that All Quiet on the Western Front should get it?
You know, it's funny. I think I'm more forgiving of like welcoming in a foreign film, like because I think Parasite got both.
Yes.
And that didn't piss me off because I love Parasite.
I was glad.
But it's one of those like sometimes, oh, you're going to get this, but you won't get that. Is sometimes what I see happen with the Academy. So I don't know. I guess I don't have. The strongest feeling I have is RRR, and it's not here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I did watch All Quiet on the Western Front, and I toughed it out through the whole thing. I did watch all of Argentina 1985, which I think. I think it's a good movie. It's a flawed movie. It really centers on a political thing that happened in Brazil. And if you don't know what happened, which I was away at college and didn't have a TV and didn't follow this thing that was happening in Brazil, so I didn't know. And once you get to the end and you understood what happened, I almost think I would enjoy it more the second time because there are dynamite performances in it. I will say that. I have not yet seen The Quiet Girl. I intend to watch The Close this weekend, and I've heard amazing things about Close. This is a Swedish film about two little boys that are friends that somebody says, oh, I think that they're gay.
I've actually read an article about that.
And I'm looking for. I've heard
it.
It's great.
Yeah.
And I have not seen EO and The Quiet Girl, and I can't even speak to those. I don't really even know what they're about. So that's not fair. But I will say that in all the polls, it has it neck and neck between All Quiet on the Western Front and Close.
Okay.
But it has All Quiet on the Western Front winning, and so I can't really speak to, because I haven't seen Close, but from what I've heard about Close and what I saw in All Quiet on the Western Front, I'm going to be voting for Close. So there we go.
There you go.
I'm going to write in RRR, and that's what I'm going to do. Okay. And now we have arrived at Best Picture.
Best Picture.
And of course, now we have 10 films to choose from, and yet somehow there seem to be ones that are missing. Okay, so let's go down the list here. Top Gun Maverick, Women Talking, The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Triangle of Sadness, The Fabelmans, All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Way of Water, which we have not discussed at all. Isn't that amazing? Because it wasn't nominated for anything else in the categories that we discussed. Elvis, and Hapatar. There we go.
All right. Well,
go
you
ahead.
know my pick. It's my statement necklace, Everything Everywhere All at Once. But I have to take a moment to comment on Avatar.
Go for it.
We did go to see that, and it was in 3D. Went to the movie theater, and it's a spectacular, beautiful film, but which is basically a travel log for come visit Pandora, and look at our beautiful oceans. And the story was kind of non-existent. It's the weirdest thing, because I feel like James Cameron is a good storyteller, but it's like he forgot to do it this time around. So, and now there's going to be 2 more of them. So I'm like, okay. But I will say, one thing you should do if you can, if you're given the opportunity and you're at Disney World's Animal Kingdom and you're in Pandora, there they have they have Avatar Flight of Passage, which is breathtaking and incredible. So do that instead of seeing this movie. That's my opinion.
Okay.
And then what I do for my Oscar party that I hope to get back to doing next year is I make food choices based on the Best Picture. So for Top Gun, it's going to be wings, because you can be my wingman anytime. And then for Women Talking, for the Mennonite community, I'm going to go with Dutch apple pie. The Banshees of Inisherin would be fish fingers and fingerling potatoes. So that'll be fun. Everything Everywhere All at Once would be an everything bagel, or like you had mentioned hot dogs. It should be the hot dog fingers. Triangle of Sadness, I would pick Doritos, because I just think they're sad. The Fabelmans, they celebrated a Jewish holiday in the film, so I'm going to order something fabulous from my local Jewish deli, because that would be wonderful. And then All Quiet on the Western Front, going to go with bratwurst. Okay. Avatar's got to be sushi. Elvis glazed donut. And for Tar, it would either be steak tartare or tuna tartare. Okay. I don't know how to do a pretentious dish, but that's pretentious and it has a name in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
So there you go. That's my thought. But yeah, my vote for Best Picture would definitely be Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I was wondering what you think constitutes a Best Picture, because I think there's so many moving parts with filmmaking that it's like, how is this one better than that one? And it's hard to compare because they are so different. Yeah. But I think there are elements.
Yeah. And of course, my pick for Best Picture is also Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I love, Gemma, I love that you wrote in and said that for you, the Best Picture is Elvis. Mm-hmm. Beth says, I only saw Top Gun and Elvis, so glad to hear all your thoughts. And Gemma loved Elvis, the film, many times, and loved it. And I love hearing that, because sometimes people get something from a film that other people don't. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so I love that. I always respect, because, it's just like when people say, well, my favorite color is blue, and somebody else says magenta. Mm-hmm. You're not going to argue that. Like, really?
Right.
Why don't you like blue?
Right.
We all have the things that we're drawn to. Mm-hmm. But I really want Everything Everywhere All at Once. For me, Best Picture, one important element is that there has to be really good cinematography in it. That the medium is
visual.
Yeah. And if you have missed out on that in creating your film, then you're not going to be the Best Picture. So for me, that's a key element. It can't even be nominated. And I think that most of the films in the category have at least an element of that. But I think that Everything Everywhere All at Once wins on that category. I also think that the film there has to be something in the story that I walk in and I see this film and I am in some way changed. Now, it could be that you changed my opinion about something. It could, in some cases, it changes your DNA. How you look at the world, how you look at yourself. I want to have a transformative experience in, or something that I take with me in the future, that somehow this movie goes with me or that it changes me. That's really, really important to me. And so those are two. But I also think that the script has to have enough in it that there are performers that get to, as they're telling the story, because for me it's all about telling the story, and that the actors have some room to do something that's larger than life, because film is larger than life. And so I want to see, I think a really important example is, what's the film that a couple of years ago they mistakenly read the wrong one. Is it Midnight?
Moonlight. Yeah.
Moonlight. I thought that was a great example because there was some brilliance. It was a small film, but there was some really brilliant cinematography in it.
Beautiful.
You couldn't leave that film not changed. You couldn't leave that film not changed. And the script had enough that, some actors got to tell a story in a way that maybe we wouldn't have told the story before, and I thought it deserved it. Whereas La La Land did not leave me changed. Brilliant cinematography,
Loved it.
and there were
Fun.
some performances, but I did not leave that changed or informed. There's no part of it that I go, oh, this part, but the other movie, Moonlight, stays with me. So for me, that's the difference. The Best Picture. What is it for you?
I think it's very similar to what you're saying, and I think that sometimes I get overwhelmed by a really brilliant performance, and I kind of don't see the negatives because I'm so enraptured by this brilliant performance. But yeah, I think that it's seeing it all come together, and sometimes like directing, the director kind of gets in the way of the film and the story being told. Like a great example of a director not getting in the way, and I'm not going to remember his name, was 12 Years a Slave. That was beautifully directed, and but I didn't notice it being directed. I just noticed that the story unfolded in a way that was just magical. I don't know. And but yeah, I think because it's a visual medium, it has to take advantage of that, and there are things you can do in film that you can't do on stage. So I think you're right with The Whale being kind of presented as a stage play. It was not taking advantage of the medium, but they did at least do the aspect ratio was smaller. It was square like a TV, and that made Brendan Fraser's character look so huge. So much more huge. And so yeah, that's always and again, it's like your favorite color. It's what speaks to you, what do you remember? And that's why, we say we're going to throw knives or whatever, but it's everybody's opinion. Everybody has one, and that's,
Yeah, if I thought that was really it. But a lot of times what makes me mad is that I feel like it becomes more about the political. Or more about the who spent the most money. And I like it when it's the person, when it all jives and it's the person who did a really good performance, that across most people that they go, okay, that was a beautiful performance. And,
Oh, Gemma, that's beautiful. Gemma says, I really love the Elvis film because of the message of being different is okay. Elvis film really spoke to me. Yes, that's beautiful. And
I think that's important.
That's important. And I love that is available and out there, and that's a perception of it that is beautiful. Thank you, Gemma.
If we were to go down our top 5 favorite films of all time, certainly in mine, That Thing You Do would be included. And a lot of people go, why is that movie in your top 5? And I'll tell you why, because I feel good about myself and the world when I watch that movie. It brings me joy. I think it says something really important about, how you overcome obstacles, how you deal with things. I love that movie, but it brings me joy. And that's really the purpose of film. We've had many films this year that were an homage to film. Babylon, which we didn't get to talk about because there weren't any, but, it's supposed to be a whole homage to film. I think it's a deeply, deeply flawed film, but in the places where it truly is an homage to film, it's worth watching. But Fabelmans is an homage to film. Empire of Light is an homage to films. And I love films for the transformative element of it. My dear departed friend Joanne Laura, who that was the thing that she would do. She would work so hard in this world of autism to help as many people as she could. But if you couldn't find Joanne, it was because she was in the 4th row of the ArcLight with her thing of popcorn, and she said, because I love to be in the dark and be told a story. There's nothing better to sit in the dark and be transported and be told a story. So
the power of storytelling is, and I feel it does bring us together as humans because we're exploring the human experience. And I'm thrilled there's more voices being brought to the table. Not as fast as I would like, but they're coming. And I want that. I want to see the perspectives, different perspectives, and see where we have commonalities, you know?
Yes. And I hope that the Academy takes a real hard look at how the nomination process is, and if you have to pay to play, that's a
barrier.
It's an issue, and yay to Andrea Riseborough for deciding that she was going to take the reins herself and pay to nominate herself.
Right.
But I don't. Nothing should be taken away from her.
Right.
No controversy should be attached to her, but it should be attached to the
Academy.
Academy,
Yeah.
and it should be looked at. It absolutely should. Okay.
Amen.
We're out of time. We've gone a little bit over, but we appreciate all of you who chimed in. And Gemma, so glad to have you here. Welcome you to our other conversations on our other shows. I do want to say that the next time that we will be doing this show will be during the Autism Network Podcastathon. We are going to be doing a 44-hour, we're going to try 44 hours live, nonstop for the Autism Network. And each hour, if you go now to autismnetwork.com, you can click on, there's a little red box that says Podcastathon. If you click on it, you have many different things that you can look at, but the calendar, I've started putting information in there so you can see what is in different hours. Every hour it's a different topic, different hosts, different subjects. Obviously there will be, we're going to give you plenty of opportunity for Ask Dr. Doreen so you can ask questions of her. There are a few hours of Autism Live where I've got some great guests. In the first day, I get to interview Dr. Stephen Shore and Dr. Temple Grandin. It doesn't get better than that, my friends. But we have several other entities that are going to be taking over and doing their podcasts, things like the Autism Dadvocate, the Just Two Dads, the Autism Driven Dad. We got the dad thing covered because we don't normally have that. But also 25-year look across the spectrum with Kelly Birmingham and Jennifer Lucera. How about Turn Autism Around with Dr. Mary Barbera, or the Autism Helper with Sasha Long? I mean, it's going to be so much fun, so much information in a 44-hour time period. We're going to go, people are like, well, what time are you stopping, at 11 o'clock at night? No, we're going all the way around the clock twice. Many of you have written into us from Dubai and Australia and South Africa. By the way, we have a podcast going to be Autism What Now with Ilana Gershowitz from South Africa. We have a mom podcaster for the Autism Awareness Radio show that is very popular in India. So we've got all of these different podcasts, and they're going to take over different hours. I'm very excited that Stories from the Spectrum will also be represented, with Amy Gravino hosting some of the time, Dr. Carrie Magro hosting some of the time. So, you know, it's a little bit of everything. We're really excited about it. But we will do Let's Talk Movies in one of the hours. And we've decided our topic. That you want to say?
Yeah, it is autism in the movies. And are we broadening it to movies and television, or just movies?
I was thinking, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm okay with either.
Yeah, because I would love suggestions. If you know, I mean, the first one that comes to mind is, of course, Rain Man, which you know, that's one of the original ones that covered the topic. So anything else, and good, bad, fabulous, whatever, we'll talk about it.
And sometimes autism isn't explicitly said.
Yes, that's
but
true.
We see a character that we go, okay, that
person's
looks
on the
like
spectrum.
It's very likely. And I've got one oldie but goodie that's on my top 5 of all time films that I will be bringing up, that I want to make the case that a very well-known character, I believe, that is on the autism spectrum. So, although I'm not allowed to diagnose, that's not my thing, but I want to make the case that I think it was one of the first films in which autism was depicted. And I'll give you all a hint that I named my son after a character in the film. There you go. So, because I love the film that much, it's in my top 5. All right, so that all starts on April 4th at 3 p.m. Pacific time. I'll have you guys do the math for wherever you are in the world. And then we will go live for 44, fingers crossed, live for 44 hours nonstop, and stop 2 days later at 11 o'clock in the morning. And I will be exhausted then, because I'm going to stay through the whole thing. I am going to take naps. But if you think my hair looks crazy now, let's wait and see. And by the way, in the final hour, Well, first of all, let me say in the first hour, in the kickoff, who the guests are. Joe Mantegna,
Oh,
Holly Robinson Pete, and Kobe Bird
oh, fabulous.
will be our panel in the first hour. And then in the final hour, we have some surprises that we'll reveal later on. But there is a rumor going around that Dr. Grant-Pichet will shave my head in the final hour. I think it's entirely possible that that will happen. And I hope that you guys will tune in because somebody in the following week will be having a big birthday, Dr. Grant-Pichet. And we will be celebrating that in the last hour. Don't tell her. She's not going to watch the last few minutes of this, but it's a little bit of a surprise. So don't tell her, but we will be celebrating her birthday in the last hour as she's shaving my head. We'll try not to get any hair in the cake. But we've done this before.
I was going to say, I
We've shaved my
remember
head
you
before.
you shaved your head before.
I'm doing it again.
That's got to be incredibly liberating.
At least that's. I think we're doing it again. I think we're going to be doing a thing that during my segments we're going to be asking people to make donations for iPads. I would like to get some iPads into kids' hands, and we're going to set a dollar amount, and if we reach it, then we will shave my head. I would like to know that if I shaved my head, that it meant that some people had the ability to communicate.
Yes, yes.
You know.
Giving a voice back.
I don't need to shave my head. It's for a purpose.
Yes.
I've shaved my head before.
Fabulous purpose.
Anyway, Gemma says, thank you for raising the autism profile. I'm pleased I have subscribed. I'm so glad that you're with us and I can't wait. I look forward to more conversations with you as you watch some of the other shows. I especially want you to check out, because you said you do your own content, I want you to check out Stories from the Spectrum, because that is only content that is made, created, performed, edited by individuals who identify as being neurodiverse, and maybe we have a place for you there. So take a look at it and let us know what you think. It's Stories from the Spectrum, one of the many podcasts that we do here. All right, thank you so much, Moira.
This was fun.
It was delightful. You are so delightful, and you're such a gift to our community.
Oh,
in so many ways.
Same right back at you.
Well, thank you. I don't deserve that. But you guys, we're back on Monday, and we've got an amazing lineup next week for you. No time to talk about it. But until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.